Prepare for heart-pounding action as we take you through 30 encounters between hunters and wild animals. From lions driving hunters out of their territory to sharks attacking overconfident divers, these moments are not for the faint of heart, showing us exactly why you shouldn't mess with predators in the wild. If there is one animal you should never underestimate in the wild, it's a lion. And yet some hunters think they can take one on with ease. And well, let's just say these encounters often go wrong. Hunting lions for sport is illegal, so there's a reason why this lion is being targeted. But of course, that doesn't make it any less egregious. Still, the lion's pride remains intact throughout the encounter as it races toward the hunter despite all the shots fired. Even though multiple hunters are firing, the lion still reigns supreme, attacking them and fleeing the scene, which shows how mighty and majestic these creatures are. Deep in the jungle, hunting expert Fred Eichler floats down the river in his boat when he encounters 3 brown bear cubs running in confusion. And that's the moment he realizes he could be in deep trouble. The thing with bear cubs is that usually their mother is nearby, and trust me, you do not want to incur her wrath. However, Fred and his crew have already scared the cubs, and things are about to get dicey. In the blink of an eye, a massive brown bear leaps out of the forest and charges Fred and his crew. But even though he's only got a split second to react, Fred fights back valiantly, firing warning shots and sending the bear back into the woods. Diving into shark-infested waters is always an extreme sport, no matter how experienced you are. Take this diver, for example, who thought he could quickly dip in, spear a lionfish, and get out. He's backed into a corner, stuck under the ledge, and with over 20 sharks coming in hot, he's in real danger. It's a tricky situation, and the diver has to keep his cool, because otherwise the sharks could obliterate him. One of the sharks goes in for the attack, trying to bite the diver, but he pushes it back with his spear. It's all kicking off, but the diver knows what he's doing, and somehow manages to squeeze his way out. Imagine this. You've just encountered a bear in the woods, so you climb a hunting stand thinking you'll be safe there. But then, the bear starts following you up the stairs too.
Bears do not climb ladders.
The bear doesn't look aggressive, but that doesn't make it any less dangerous. If anything, the woman's backed herself into a corner by underestimating the beast, and she's got nowhere to run now. Her reaction in this situation, though, is bizarre.
Get down. Psst. Down. Do you see this? This is a finger that's telling you to get down.
She acts like she's not in danger, treating the bear like a toddler and telling it to back down. Of course, the bear only wants food and won't take no for an answer, forcing the woman to take action.
Down. Okay. I'm up, you're down.
It doesn't take a genius to know that you probably shouldn't trespass on a lion's territory. And yet these hunters thought they could just sneak up on a pride without any repercussions, a decision they sorely regret. Things kicked off when the lions decided to charge the hunters, and with no vehicle to escape in and lions coming at them from every direction, the hunters didn't have an escape plan, making this a life or death situation for them. Gunshots filled the air amidst all the chaos as the hunters tried to fire at the lions and then sprint their way to safety. The guns eventually stopped the onslaught, but the lions still had the last laugh as they roared in majesty after driving the hunters out of their territory. What would you do if a massive black bear slowly walked toward you? According to this hunter, you stand your ground and let the bear come to you. It's incredibly tense as the bear continues moving closer. What's peculiar about this encounter is that the beast doesn't seem angry, because if that were the case, it would have been charging. Despite the bear's calm demeanor, the hunter can't take any chances, because these big guys can be erratic in the wild, attacking you out of nowhere. So the bow is drawn, and now it's a war of attrition. The bear doesn't care for the hunter's bow, pushing forward with intent, and with the beast coming to within inches of the hunter, things are about to get dicey. That was close. Over in Poland, a hunter prepares for something to emerge from the bushes. He's managed to antagonize a wild animal, and now he's got his rifle ready to deal with the situation. The animal he's about to encounter is quick, so much so that it could easily catch him off guard. He's probably regretting his decision to come out here and mess with the wildlife because things are about to go very wrong for him. In the blink of an eye, a deer leaps out of the bushes and tackles the hunter full force, knocking him down. As for the hunter, all he can do is lie down on the ground and accept defeat against the might of nature. In another case, hunters grossly underestimate wildlife. These guys thought they had things covered when they headed into the woods for hog hunting with their rifles, and man, were they wrong. The hogs were too clever for the hunters' single-shot rifles, dodging the bullets and running after them. To make matters worse, the boars were determined to teach their attackers a lesson they'd never forget. Within seconds, dozens of wild boars descended upon the hunters, and all they could do was fire in sheer panic. At this moment, they probably wished they'd prepped better and brought an AR-15 to this war zone. Moose are some of the most frightening animals you can encounter in the wild because, despite their massive size and docile appearance, they're quick and can cause real damage. The hunter knows how dangerous these beasts are, so he puts his hands up and makes his presence known, trying to back down slowly. He's made a big mistake by coming into the moose's territory, and will have to pay for it. The hunter is smiling at the situation when the moose decides to ruin his mood and charges him. But when he lets his guard down again, thinking he's avoided the attack, the moose prepares to give him another reality check. Witness an astonishing encounter in the wild as a hunter perches himself atop a hill, patiently waiting for a bear to step out and become his target. He's been waiting long and can't afford to miss the shot. After all, you don't want an angry bear charging you. However, just as he's lined up his shot, the hunter's caught off guard by what appears from within the woods.
Mama, the two cubs out front.
The bear isn't alone. It's a female bear with cubs following behind, which is the worst-case scenario for this hunter because mother bears are notoriously aggressive in protecting their cubs, and you don't want to mess with them. The hunter holds his breath, praying the female bear doesn't notice him. But there's no way he can avoid a mother's intuition. She's already sensed that her cubs are in danger, and things will get nasty now. That went as smoothly as it could have. In an African safari, hunters brace themselves for an encounter that could end their lives. They've managed to trespass into elephants' territory, and the giant beasts aren't happy about it. With so many elephants walking up to them, there is no way the hunters can make a run for it. Their only choice is to hold their ground and hope the beasts feel merciful. It doesn't take long for things to go from 0 to 100 as a couple of angry elephants try charging the hunters from two different directions. But even though the hunters avoid the first wave of attack, there's more trouble on the way. When they think the encounter's over, another elephant steps away from the group to send a message to the hunters. It's safe to say they won't disrespect these majestic animals again. In September 2016, a college student was out swimming off the coast of Santa Barbara, California with his friends when he had the most terrifying experience of his life. Despite being in just 10 feet of water, the student felt something aggressively bite down on his toes. He thought his friends were playing a prank on him, but a massive shark was attacking him. The shark kept coming back at him after wounding his foot, but luckily the student had a spear gun on him, which he used to stab the shark and push it back. It's a miracle he survived the encounter.
The shark came around, I gave him a nice little jab.
The shark's blood is still on the...
Moose are already scary animals, but some nasty boys in the wild are extra terrifying. This one, for example, carries battle scars and animal skin on its antlers, meaning it's seen a lot of action. The moose doesn't look pleased to see the hunter encroaching on its territory, but it's willing to give him a chance to repent, scratching its antlers and showing aggression to warn him about an incoming attack. The hunter's naive, though, continuing to film the agitated moose and ignore its warnings. A decision he'll deeply regret because the moose isn't sparing him now. Lady Luck is on the hunter's side because the moose leaves him alone once he hides behind a tree. Continuing the theme of hunters being incredibly dumb, another guy thinks it's a good idea to walk up to a resting deer and provoke it. The deer doesn't look very scary and doesn't run when the hunter approaches it either. That doesn't mean he can just underestimate it though, because even if deer aren't the most aggressive animals in the wild, they can still cause some damage. After tolerating the hunter's advances for a few seconds, the deer decides it's had enough, getting up and tackling the guy. He'll never mess with another resting animal again. Over in Japan, a man's out fishing in a mountain stream when he notices some big claw marks on a tree nearby. He thinks it's a wild boar, but little does he know that he's about to face a terrifying foe. He feels something grab onto him from behind, and when he turns, he realizes his life could end here because he's not up against a boar. He's fighting an actual bear. The man flails out in the heat of the moment, kicking the bear and sending it running back into the forest. But even though he's survived the first attack, the man isn't in the clear just yet. That fallen tree saved his life. In the depths of the Australian Coral Sea, a man's out on a spearfishing adventure when he runs into his worst nightmare, a tiger shark. The shark is aggressive and won't leave without preying on the man. With only a spear in his hand, he's got no choice but to remain calm and defend himself against the shark's onslaught. Thankfully, he's not alone in the water and has his friends backing him up with their spears, so it won't be easy for the sharks to find an opening and break through their defensive line as they scramble back aboard their boat.
Get it!
Witness an incredible scene as a hunter fires a shot at a wild hog thinking he could get away with it. Little does he know, though, his gun has awakened something terrifying.
Get behind the tree, Jared. Stand up, stand up.
Loud boar noises echo through the air as the hunter hears multiple footsteps approaching rapidly. It turns out he's just fired into a massive sounder of boars, and now he has to face the music as they all rush toward him. 100 wild hogs rushed the hunters, trying to escape the gunfire, and if it weren't for the trees they were hiding behind, these guys would have been toast for sure. Hunters often perch up on trees to get a better lay of the land and prevent wildlife from detecting them. But while that strategy usually works, it can also go wrong occasionally. Bears have climbed up on top of the tree stand, presumably to look for food, and one wrong move could result in the beasts attacking them. The hunter's reaction to the situation is even more surprising. The hunter giggles as the bear slowly climbs down next to him. He's probably shocked, because there's no way anyone could laugh in a life-threatening situation like this. Just off the coast of South Africa, a diver swims right down to the sea floor to hunt some fish with his spear. What he doesn't realize, however, is that he's being stalked by one of the most dangerous creatures in the world, the great white shark. The shark appears out of nowhere, catching the hunter off guard. Time slows down for him as he finds his bearings again and prepares for the inevitable attack. The shark keeps stalking the hunter without attacking him as he frantically swims back to the surface to alert his friends on the boat.
White! Pass off for the white!
He's lucky the shark isn't in the mood to attack, because he's nowhere near quick enough to swim back to safety, and his spear isn't strong enough to repel a great white shark. In yet another case where people underestimate the might of wild deer, a hunter slowly approaches a lone deer, thinking he could easily scare it away with some rocks and a stick. The deer springs into action, running circles around the hunter and his friend. But even though the hunter thinks he's managed to scare it away, the deer isn't just going to give up its territory so quickly. The deer keeps returning to take another stab at the hunter, trying to push him away, and eventually the hunters have to give up and move elsewhere. Imagine you're a hunter out in the woods, struggling to find bears when one randomly appears out of nowhere and walks up to you alone. You're probably wondering why the hunter doesn't shoot the bear if he's out hunting for them. Well, that's because this one is a bit too young. Being young doesn't make the bear less dangerous, so it's a tricky situation for the hunter.
Nah.
The hunter's lucky that the bear isn't in a bad mood, because it could have quickly pounced on him, and he wouldn't have had the time to react. Speaking of hunters trapped in tricky situations, this guy has managed to attract one of the most vicious animals in the wild, a massive bull elk, and despite his attempts to remain camouflaged, he can't escape the beast's gaze. Even if the elk doesn't instantly spot the hunter, it knows he's there, stopping in its tracks and observing the surroundings. And just when the hunter thinks he is about to be attacked, the elk does something genuinely unexpected. The elk has powerful feelings about the hunter's smell. In Japan, a hunter walks through a dense forest, following claw marks and other clues that presumably lead toward a wild hog. The hunter doesn't realize, however, that he's not the only one hunting here, and he's made a massive mistake coming here because he is about to experience the shock of a lifetime when he gets to his hunting spot. So much for boar hunting. Black bears are scary, but you know what's even more terrifying? female bears trying to protect their cubs. Seriously, you don't want to mess with them because they'll charge you without a second thought. This hunter has just stumbled upon a female black bear, but rather than running for his life, he decides to stand his ground, telling the beast to get out instead. And that, folks, will turn out to be a massive mistake.
Get out of here. Get out of here. Hey! 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 I'm gonna
Even when the hunter successfully scares her off the first time, he stands his ground, inching closer to her cub on the tree, which triggers another reaction out of the bear.
Hey! Knock it off!
People diving for spearfishing and finding massive predators is a tale as old as time. Yet these encounters feel more terrifying every single time. This guy, for instance, has just come up against a great white shark. The shark's extra aggressive, chowing down on the hunter's spear. What makes this even more terrifying is that it keeps circling back, trying to find an opening to attack the hunter. The spearfisher knows what he's doing, though, successfully repelling the shark's attacks and keeping it at bay until he can safely swim back to his boat. Wild boars can be a real pain to hunt, despite their small size, especially when agitated, and this hunter's about to experience that tenacity firsthand. Despite the hunter's preparation, after hearing the commotion between his dog and the boar, the beast is too quick and escapes the hunter's grasp. But this hunt isn't over just yet, and he'll meet the boar again after following its trail. Once again, the boar catches the hunter off guard, slipping through the bushes and avoiding the dog. Even though the hunter tries to chase it down again, he has to admit defeat and live to fight another day. These hunters are out looking for some elk, but just when they've stumbled upon some in the wild, something strange happens. The elk don't fall for their whistles, running away instead, almost as if there's another threat nearby. They move further to investigate because the situation is very fishy. And it's only when they turn the corner that they realize that they could be in deep trouble here. Navigating through a pack of wolves is no joke, and the hunters must be conscientious around them, hoping the beasts are generous. In what can only be described as one of the most spectacular encounters ever recorded, a diver goes underwater to hunt invasive lionfish when an unwelcome guest decides to show up. The shark seems to have seen red with the captured lionfish, pouncing on it like it's famished. But with the hunter trying to move the spear away, the shark gets agitated and things take another bizarre turn. The shark leaps toward the diver and bumps into him. It keeps trying to attack the diver, chowing down on his spear and getting close to biting him. What's crazy about the encounter is that it's all extraordinarily chaotic and happens within the blink of an eye. Boar hunting can be tricky because these little beasts are quick and don't hesitate to fight back. This hunter's been waiting for a chance to take one on with nothing but a spear, but the boars keep turning away before reaching him. Well, until one does decide to show up and humiliate the hunter. Nature is metal. Sometimes it's so unrelenting that it catches you off guard and leaves you breathless. For instance, this hunter who's just caught a fish with his spear is about to get a scary little surprise. A massive shark appears out of nowhere and pounces on the fish he's caught. Now the tables have turned and the diver has to swim his way to safety. But once again, things keep going wrong for him, because there's another shark attack in store.
Yo, yo.
He frantically swims away from the shark, praying it doesn't get any closer. He probably can't believe his luck.